Welcome to The Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of The Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to The Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life.
You are the most important person in your life. It's you that creates your reality. You're the rock star in your life. You're the CEO. You're the most valuable player. And it's in acknowledging and understanding that where you can really step into the power of you. You can empower yourself to be and do and have anything that you really want to have, as long as you understand who you are, what your mission is, what you have to bring to the world, and make sure that what you want is in alignment with that. You can create, you can manifest, you can materialize anything that you want in the world. And in your creations and co-creations, you can share yourself in the world in a way that others are able to find empowerment from you. Not take it from you, but to find their own internal empowerment from you and the example that you're set. So be the rock star in your life. When I share my guest today with you, you'll get her definition of what being a rock star is. And please listen intently to what she has to share, because each story, each anecdote that she shares with us is full of knowledge, is full of her experience, and most importantly, is full of her love for you to find yourself become the rock star in your life. I'm with Kristi Staab today, and Kristi is an international speaker, author, executive coach, motivator, and rocker, driven by her passion to help individuals from around the globe transform into purposeful, impactful, and positively influential leaders. Chief Rockstar Kristi shares her innovative and inspiring lead like a rock star approach to leadership, sales, and success. She guides you and your team members on a journey to discover, hone, and put into action the rock star leader within. It's what she refers to as put the rock in your role. When asked what it means to be a rock star, Kristi shares, being a rock star is an attitude. It's a state of being. It's a choice. It's raising your hand and committing to being an elite performer, playing at the highest level, reaching the pinnacle of your chosen professional, and modeling excellence consistently to inspire and empower others to do the same. Kristi Staab, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Vince, I'm ready. Let's do it.
I have to be upfront and honest with people. This is the second time we've done an interview because somebody forgot to record. So I'm so excited to see the red light on and know that we're getting this all in. And I know we're going to provide you even a better interview than we had the last time. Please, Kristi, share with us a little bit more about yourself and more about the rockstar world and how you're bringing it to the world.
Wow. Well, Vince, have been in business 10 years. I'll be celebrating 10 years this November, and had a very successful corporate career, 20 years. So I'm just coming on 32 years of age, just in case anyone's doing some quick math. And I was able to do such amazing things in my corporate career, things that I don't even know if I could have dreamed as a child because I didn't even know they existed. And I've been to 5 World Series, the Stanley Cup playoffs, the red carpet in Los Angeles, you name it. I've been so fortunate. And at the same time, there came this point in my career where I was like, wow, what kind of a difference am I really making in other people's lives? And what I didn't realize is I was going through my own transformation. And there were points in time, probably about 4 years prior to the moment I'm really going to share with you in a moment, that things started happening. I was working at the Fox Corporation in Los Angeles, 33 years old, got brought in, sat down. They said, here's a 3-year contract. It was more money than I'd ever made in my life. And I just took a deep breath and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's everything I had ever worked for. And so I was still in the process of that, kind of creating and taking what I thought society thought I should be doing with my life and trying to make that fit. And then I remember in about 2008, I was sitting at a different boardroom table, and it was my turn to give my leader check-in. And I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. And by that time, I liken my experience to, I got all of my approval, all of my Atta Girl, all of my Midas touch golden moments at my desk at work. And I was even sleeping underneath my desk at work occasionally because, like Linus's blanket, my corporate desk was my security, so to speak. And yet all of the outward signs of success may have been shining for others to see. My inward success was lonely. I felt like I was stuck. I just didn't feel like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and got really frustrated to the point where I had to do some soul searching to figure out, who am I, what do I want, and how do I get to spend the next 37 plus years of my life.
So amazing. And that's what so much of our work's about now, helping people that same way. I had just a similar but a very opposite experience. It was the corporation that decided that it was time for me to move on, and nothing from the quality of my work or anything else. It was just a change in the upper management. It wasn't a C-suite change, but it was a vice president change. And the next thing you know, the door is open and it's like, okay, where are you going to go? And, I'm happy for you that you found it in yourself. I needed the push out the door to realize that there was so much missing in my life. Is there any other wake-up calls that you had that really got your attention and could have pushed you out earlier onto your own, or was that the first one?
I think I've had them literally since I was a little kid. I've had lots of moments. For me, I think I had so many limiting beliefs that filled my head about safety, about security, about money, about self-worth. And all of those things, I really believe, created in my mind what I consider to be those golden handcuffs for me. And I remember, even for me, the very first job I was offered out of college was a great job. And yet it was a sales job. And looking back on it, I'm like, wow, what if I would have taken that sales job at 21 years old? But I had so many things that just scared me about money. And how would I do it? And how would I survive? And again, all of these thoughts that had been ingrained in my personal thought, the tape that was running around in my head at the time. And I said, wow, this sounds like a great opportunity to the person interviewing me. And I'm like, I don't think you have a business model here. And the irony is I joined that business model 12 or 13 years later and did really well. And through that process too, I had to take a look at the things I believed to be my truths and ask, are they true? And a lot of them weren't true. However, the lens I was looking through, the perspective I held, it was true in that moment for me as a younger person. And so one thing I try to be, and I don't even like the word try, so let me erase that, Vince. One thing I focus in on is being really intentional about what am I thinking? What do I believe? And is there a possibility that I'm creating my own meaning around different things? And it's just, I think if we were to say what's one thing that's changed for you over your adult life, it's my awareness. And I believe a good sense of strong self-awareness is what grounds me in creating clarity, which I think is the number 2 most important thing, in creating clarity in anything and everything I want to do, I want to be, I want to have, and I want to create in this fabulous life that I now lead. And knock on wood, I don't sleep underneath my desk anymore. I sleep down the hall.
I'm in the hall now.
Down the hall.
Share with us one of the truths from the past that's no longer true for you right now.
Great question. And this is up for me because I had a radio interview the other day. Otherwise, I don't know if this would come up. I had a mother who abandoned me by kicking me out of the house at 16 years old. And I had a husband in my early 20s who I felt had abandoned me for other women in his life. He had 2 affairs while we were married. And I thought to myself, wow, if you can't trust your mom and you can't trust your husband, why would you trust anyone other than yourself? And at the same time, I don't know that for a period I even trusted me, because I don't know that I believed in me. If these people who were so core in my relationships, in my life, those primary figures in my life, if they didn't believe in me, who was I to believe in me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there must be something wrong with me, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, that's just shifted, right? It's just
can you share with us how you came up with your new truth?
Oh my gosh, there was this powerful moment. You and I both share a great friend and colleague, Jack Canfield. And the first time I had ever gone to one of Jack's events, he had a man in the room called Hale Dwoskin. And I remember doing this exercise and he said, okay, close your eyes. I want you to think of a pain, something chronic, a belief, something that you've held on to that you're ready to let go of. And I was sitting there. And of course, in that moment, I have nothing in my mind and my body. There's nothing present until he invites this to come about. And I was like, oh, ho, ho, I'm thinking in my head, have I got it when my mom kicked me out? And you give me, and I said this, Vince, this is what's so amazing. You give me 5 minutes and I will manifest that feeling. And in that moment, I said to myself, I have been manifesting that feeling for 20 years. Wow. That feeling, that thought, that belief, that meaning no longer serves me. And I used to have this illustration that I would use that I was so protective. I wouldn't let anyone in the castle walls. And so I had 5 friends and I could count them on my finger or on one hand. And I realized when I said, wow, I've been doing that to myself for 20 years, literally this visual with my eyes closed came over me. And I literally saw a large Irish castle with the walls coming down and flowers coming up. And that's just one of the best illustrations that I can share with anyone. For me personally, how I could hold on so tightly to the feelings, to the belief, to the meanings of one situation that happened over a week in my entire life. And I could create it anytime I shared that story for 20 years. And was I ready to let that story and all the ickiness go Yes. And now it's one of those transformative stories that I share with people in the work I do, that let's take a look at those beliefs and how can we shift them so that they're serving you in a good way and not holding you back or sabotaging you from all of the things you want in your life today. And if you want to hold on to those stories, just ask yourself, how long am I willing to continue living in this misery or suffering? Or how can I shift my thoughts, my perspectives, use this story for good in my life and create the life I want to be living?
Excellent advice. Could you share with us, what was the gift in getting kicked out at 16?
Sometimes I still wonder what that gift was. I think, the gift is, it got to be part of my path. I mean, who would I be without that? I've always said I'm street smart. I'm scrappy. I'll figure it out. In those moments in life when you're taking on a new challenge, or you have a new dream, or you decide to leave your own old comfortable world and create a new business for yourself, that's the moment when all of your stuff comes up, all of your inadequacies, all of the beliefs that we're not enough, we don't deserve it, who are we? And to be able to take a situation and say, wow, you know what, at 16, I didn't make it to the street. I did move in with my other parent, but to go through that experience, it's like, and look at me, I made it. It doesn't mean it was that easy. There were parts in time, I'll be honest with you, if I wouldn't have had softball in my life, I don't know how far I would have made it. And so softball kept me in school. Softball kept me getting my grades so I could still play and be on the team. And I had some friends who, ironically, a friend I just got in touch with about 8 years ago, I hadn't seen from high school. And he was, I was the softball player. He was the big football player. And he would sit down with me every day in social studies and say, Staab, which is my last name and was my nickname growing up, Staab, did you do your homework last night? Oh, I didn't do my homework. I didn't even feel loved. Why would I do my homework? Now, I didn't say that. That's what was in my head. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, this big, gruffy, super smart, yet goofy to the outside world football player was thumping his finger down and saying, we're going to do your homework, Staab. And we did my homework. So it wasn't like it just, boom, it was over. There were a lot of opportunities for me to stay in the game and fight. There were a lot of opportunities for me to throw up my hands and say, I'm done. And what's coming to me right now, Vince, is kind of crazy, but I said I'm going to use this. It was a couple weeks ago. I was traveling for business, and as much as I travel for business, you would think this girl's got it down. Well, I have it down with about 4 pieces of luggage for a week's worth of work, right? And so I'm in a hurry to get from the rental car into the cottage that I'm staying at, and I try and do everything in one trip, because why would you do any more? And I yank the bag that has everything else balanced on it, and everything just all over the sidewalk, all over the street. And I just sat there and I was like, pick it up. And I picked it up and I loaded it up. And I said, now, how many times in your life has something happened in your life where you've got everything ready to go, all strapped up with a perfect bow, and it goes, figuratively speaking, all over the ground, all over the street, and you walk away from it? It's no different. Something as simple as this, picked up my bags and I was in the hotel room. It's a really easy lesson for those of us who are looking to get ahead, move up, make our vision a reality. Those bags are going to drop. Some of them, your stuff's going to roll down into the sewer on the street. It's how quickly will you pick up all of the contents, put it back in, put it together, and start moving forward again. And that's one of those moments where I let it linger for 20 years, parts of it. And yet it's an important part of who I am and how I show up when I'm with you today.
And when you have it all picked up, that's when you get propelled. I mean, it's
right.
It's funny, and it can be 20 years, and you pick it up, and all of a sudden doors start flying open. So,
absolutely,
a great analogy. And I love traveling analogies. So, I've had it happen myself, even with the great bags that I travel with. So, I know the feeling. I know some of the other feelings that you've experienced just recently too. We won't share that unless you want to, but it's funny that we find in each and every day something little that teaches us some kind of lesson. And if we start looking for the lessons in it instead of looking for the opportunities to be victims,
right,
it really, really makes a difference in our lives. And you've come such a long way from 16. You've come such a long way from just 10 years ago when you were ready to step out of corporate and really make a difference in the world. Can you share how you've shared the miracle of you, that your gifts and talents in a way that others have been able to share theirs? Can you give us an example?
Whoa, what a question. I'm somewhat struggling with your question because I look at myself in a work in progress. And I would say only in the last 6 weeks have I started sharing the stories that are really important, Vince. I still touch people lightly and keep distance, have kept distance to keep myself safe and protected. And in my private trainings that I do, I share bits and pieces of the stories. And what I've found that has made a difference over the years are the gifts in me. And they're me being willing to say, my mom kicked me out at 16, and she's still alive. For years, I said, this is going to have a place in what I do, a story to share when she's no longer here. And I didn't want to share them because I was afraid of them. I was afraid of how they would impact her. I was afraid of how they'd impact our relationship. And at the same time, when I hold back in fear, I'm not sharing love. And some very impactful trainings that I've had over the course of the last year where I've literally had people come up to me and say, did you read my bio before this started? And I said, no, tell me more. Well, everything that you just shared over your training today has happened to me in my life. And I thought I was the only one. Mm-hmm. So the gifts in me are me being willing to put my ego aside, being willing to not let fear or worry drive me, yet to focus in on love and helping everyone get to their human potential, whatever that means for them, so that they can create the life, the leadership, the career or business, and the relationships that they want in this world. And I don't know the numbers, but I recently heard Mel Robbins' TED Talk, and I think in there she says, our chance of actually even being here on Earth is like 4 trillion to 1, something like that. And I just said, wow, holy beep, 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 beep. And I don't even beep a lot. I'm lucky. And I've got now, and now matters.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I agree so wholeheartedly that every aspect of our past, everything that we've experienced goes into bringing us to the world in a way that will affect so many lives. But one thing I really want to share is, and it's a really good lesson, you have affected so many lives through your work, period, over your lifetime, but especially over the last 10 years. And you still notice that if you could make just one small change, you could affect so many others in so many ways. So what I want to share with the imagination is share yourself with the world in whatever capacity that you can in the moment, because you will affect and you will make a difference in people's lives. And as you do that, and as you expand into yourself and into your heart, now you're going to open that up to just more and more people. But don't wait till you feel like you're open enough or can be open enough to start sharing, because there's so many people that need to hear the stories that are watered down, or just the energy of the stories that aren't being told. So thank you for that. It gave me an opportunity to share something so very important with the imagination.
Thank you.
Could you tell us something that's coming up in your life shortly that's really a stretch for you, and you're really bringing your work to a whole new level, so we can share some of the collective energy to bring it in just full force?
So thank you for giving me the opportunity, Vince. And I always like to create value. And I always like people to get from wherever they are one step closer, and elevating where they are, moving to the next level, really diving down and figuring out what's next for me, and focusing so much on leaders and really bringing those passionate, purposeful, positively influential leaders to the forefront to make a shift here at home and around the world. What I did is I thought to myself, what is the most important question I've been asked by people who I run into in my events and trainings, and just knowing what I do, at a dinner party or something, they'll say, well, what do you think about this? And one of the most, I think, powerful questions I've been asked over the last 2 years, and it's across the board. It's business leaders, entrepreneurs, fast-track millennials, and peak performers, is how do I increase my confidence and my influence? And I should say that a little differently, because that's not exactly what it was. The question I've been getting more than anything is, how do I build my confidence and increase my leadership? And you can tell how much importance I put on words. It's really important. And so I thought, I'm going to do 3 series this year. What does this series look like? And if I could give people the keys to unlocking influence for them so that they can show up as the best leader of others that they could, what would be the key? And as I started doing research and looking around, and I realized there's not one key. There are many keys. And in that search, what I did is I came up with some amazing people who either showed up, who I invited immediately, or who people said, who else should be a part of this series. So Vince, as you know, I'm getting ready to launch a new masterclass series. It's called The Keys to Unlocking Your Leadership Influence, featuring the leaders shifting leadership today. Because what we do know, if we're going to be successful, we're going to be sustainable, and we're going to thrive in business over time, the way that we've done things from the model of the Industrial Revolution is not working and will no longer work moving forward. That's been the case, I'd say, the last almost 10 years, right? Yet we still have people doing things the old way. So I want to talk to the people, the leaders, the experts, the influencers, the global thought leaders who are shifting us in the direction to what's working and what will be working as we move forward. So that's the important part of the leaders shifting leadership today. And the great thing is, as we talk about the people who've shown up, it's 28 massively global thought leaders and leadership experts who are giving their really finely tuned piece of what influence means to them. And so I have, for instance, this is fascinating. There's a lot of talk right now about finding your voice. What does it mean to find your voice, right? Well, oftentimes it's really figuratively. What does it mean to find your voice, find your leadership voice? Well, one of the gentlemen who is in the masterclass series, his name is Roger Love, and he's the #1 speech and vocal coach in the United States. He works with people like Gwen Stefani, Adam Levine, Reese Witherspoon, Joaquin Phoenix. He's worked with Tony Robbins, John Gray. Most recently, if you've seen the blockbuster A Star is Born, he worked with Bradley Cooper on Bradley's voice and taught him how to sing for the role. That song that we love with Bradley and Lady Gaga, Roger had a voice in that. So how does your voice impact your leadership influence? Do people believe you? Do they trust you? Are they absolutely bored with you and tune you out in 3 minutes? These are some of the things that Roger will take a look at. We have JJ Virgin. She's an amazing nutritionist, fitness expert, health and well-being superstar. And what we're going to take a look at with JJ is, how does our self-care, our health, and our nutrition impact our leadership influence with others? Is it positively? Is it negatively? Is it neutral? What do we need to be doing? What do we get to be doing as leaders to make that shift? And then we have some other great names, Vince, including Jack Canfield, Janet Bray Atwood, who did the passion test, which, by the way, the first time I did the passion test became the framework, the initial framework for my business that I'm in now. Bob Chapman. Bob is the #3 CEO in the world, ranked by Inc. magazine. And he talks about truly human leadership, what it means to actually care about your people first. And then Marcy Shimoff, Happy for No Reason. Ken Honda, which is really fun. Ken is known as the Japanese Zen millionaire, and he's just bringing his first English language work to the United States, and it's called Happy Money. Ken lets us know, is your money happy or unhappy? Who knew? Happy money in, happy money out. There's a flow. So I could go on and on. I've gathered together 28 amazing human beings who are giving of their time, their expertise, free gifts for you to accelerate increasing your leadership influence. And I'm so excited. It kicks off July 9th through the 22nd. It is free. Access to these individuals collectively in one place, I say, is priceless, yet I get to share them with everybody for free. And you can register now at unlockyourinfluence.com.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And, you know, I said we'll bring the collective energy of the imagination to help it be successful. I think it's going to be successful without, but we're still going to share all this energy to really lift it to maybe even new levels. Every ear that gets to hear this information, because I know many of the speakers that you're talking about, it will change your life just by the energy of their words, let alone the information that they're going to share with you. And then when you take that information and you find what resonates with you and take it into your heart, and what doesn't resonate, just let it go. It's amazing what's going to happen in your life, and it's all being brought to you by our wonderful guest today, Kristi. Kristi, believe it or not, and it happens with my favorite guest, we're almost out of time. So could you share a little bit of guidance on the way out for the people who are listening today?
I will in just a moment. First, Vince, I want to appreciate and acknowledge you and everybody who is doing work with you, because it's one thing to be able to create this kind of opportunity. It's a whole other thing to have people that are impactful and influential in your life take the baton with the opportunity as the baton in hand and share it with the people that they care about in the world. And by you giving me the time, you're using your influence as a leader to share this information with other people. So I just want to appreciate and acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
And I forgot what I was supposed to do after that. Give
a little piece of guidance on our way out.
A little piece of guidance. One of the things I just love to say is be kind and be gentle to yourself, because it's so easy to remind ourselves of what's not working. And yet it's more powerful to redirect that energy. And by energy, I mean physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I'm missing one of them, Vince. What am I missing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Intellectual, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual.
There you go.
Instead of worrying or staying in fear or I'm not good enough, to take that, redirect that energy and shift it forward. So when you find yourself coming down on yourself, be kind and gentle. Acknowledge that it's happening through your self-awareness and take all of that energy, redirect it. It creates good for you and you ripple that goodness out into the world. And I know what the world needs now is love, coffee, and positively influential leadership.
And you're providing that influential leadership, right, left, up, down, and in between. Thank you for being here with us today. We send all our love to you and all the work that you're doing. We can't wait to see all the success that you're going to have with the series that's coming out. And just thank you for spending some time with us today.
The pleasure is all mine, and thank you. Thanks so much, Vince.
On behalf of Mary, my wife and business partner, we want to wish all of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind-awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.